Welcome to the Dynamics Show. I'm Mariana, your host and guide, here to remind you that flowing through each one of us is a dynamic energy that desires to use every single day. That's why we emphasize the day in dynamics, because it isn't just a one-time choice, it's a daily commitment to your dynamic well-being. On this podcast, we know that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to life, so that's why each episode is crafted to help you align with your own dynamic self on your terms. It's all about exploring what life can truly feel like when you choose what serves your dynamic well-being. You're here for a reason, so let's uncover it. Tune in and let's explore what's possible together. So today we're doing fundamentals recording that will explore the subject of mind dynamics. I have the pleasure of being joined by Makota.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you here again in our monthly dynamics until the end of the year. We get through them all.
Yes, we will.
If you don't know who Makota is, you can go on dynamicseries.com and under About Us and Contact, and you can read all about her. We want to say on this podcast about Makota that she now has received her master's in education.
Very exciting, yes.
Yeah, so congratulations, and everyone can send their celebratory or congratulations on our website. So, why this subject of mind dynamics? Well, we know that the mind is a lot. It's part of our series that we have of all of our dynamics that we made the commitment to do. Makoto, what do you think is your first thought when you think of mind? M-I-N-D, mind.
Well, I think about like what you think or what you feel and kind of like everything that encompasses the mind, I guess, like where it is on your body. And I guess you have a lot of connection to the brain, even though that's not necessarily the same thing, but that's kind of the first thing that comes to mind when you say mind.
Yeah, you think of your brain and your mind being the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more. That's one of the things that have come up in the podcast too, is that how the brain and the mind do different functions.
Right.
Yeah. So I always like to set the tone for our time together because this is more than just a podcast. What we focus on expand. So let's take a moment to center ourselves, be fully present, and listen with an open heart and mind. Appropriate mind. Awesome. To start, let's ask you this. Given the title of the show, which really is more like the discussion around mind dynamics, can you relate? Do you know how to embrace your mind in all its facets? Or do you even know all of its facets? Makota?
I don't even think I do. No.
Yeah, because there's so many of
Yeah.
so many aspects of your mind. Yes. So it's something like from this podcast that we suggest that you go and research a little bit more. So you're just more well informed and look at least at 3 different resources outside of this podcast, of course, in our website, but 3 different avenues in which they talk about what mind is and what it encompasses.
Sounds about right.
It's like what I like to do with most things now is to have 3 or more different references because if you just go with the first one you read, it's like, maybe not. And I always start with the dictionary. I'd like a dictionary definition of what something is.
I agree.
Speaking of the definition, let's just read what a couple of the online definitions come from, like from dictionary.com. The element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel, and to facilitate the faculty of consciousness and thought. And another one is a person's intellect. What do you think of that as a definition, Makota?
Well, I think that they're very different, obviously, even just by word count of how descriptive they are, but they describe 2 very different parts of what the mind could be seen as and what it's described as.
Yes.
Yeah.
we can only give you one aspect of, or a couple aspects of what we're talking about around mind, and it's having you get interested enough to want to do that research. So again, you are informed as to what you want mind to be. So you know what the definition is, and then you can define it how it serves you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
If you think of the word mind, which is another thing, because when doing research is like, what other words other than mind is there?
Well, I think a lot of it has the mind at the first part, so like mindfulness or mindless, mindful, mindlessly. So it's kind of like all about either you're being mindful, like you're maybe thinking about things that you're doing, or the opposite, where you're not thinking at all. Is how that word is kind of used a lot.
Right. And I just wrote down for the sake of this podcast a few of them. It's like mindful, like you said, mindfulness, mindset, and then mindless, you said, open minded. And then you get state of mind, which I think is really one of the important ones, is like, what is your state of mind around anything?
Right.
Because we know that there's lots of circumstances, we know that there's lots of experiences along your journey of life. It's like, who do you want to be in those? What is your state of mind along the way?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And then you get into the whole side of the mental health side too around mind. What are you thinking mentally? Like when you think of mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, all that stuff, you bring that word part of into the mind dynamics as well. So, there is a big, again, another array of words that you can use around mind. But I do think my state of mind is important to me, and to just have the balance in that. What about you?
Yeah, I think state of mind is one of the really good ones because it is kind of like what is the situation, what is the status of your mind? Thinking of other synonyms for state and then what are you actually where is it? Is it unstable? Is it stable? Is it, are you using other words that have mindfulness where you're thinking about your state of mind? It's very interesting that way.
Right. Along the way in this month, because this has been a whole month of mind dynamics, we've had two blogs. One was intro to the mind dynamics, and lots of good information in there. So again, dynamicseries.com, go into multimedia blog. And then the second was mind mantras, where we have mantras around mind and how you can adjust and tune your mind to what they, meaning whoever they is, but in the research and studies have shown that there's primarily two. There's like a fixed state of mind, and that was in one of our vehicle videos where it's like, this is your mind is just like, no, this is the way it is. This is reality. My reality doesn't change. This is my mindset, and that's it. And there's sort of no real. It takes a lot to change that because it's just either it's a habit or it's a belief or it's something that you just know either works or doesn't work, but it's familiar and safe.
Right.
But it's fixed. It's that you don't really want to. It's almost sometimes an unempowered thing, or it could just be like, well, this is the way it is and that's it. Or the second one being a more like empowered, open state of mind where you are more open, you're more wanting new ideas. Like that's part of what one of the definitions of dynamics is in that is open to new ideas and willing to change and stuff. The openness and the empowerment and stuff is that you are wanting to not just be stuck in one thing. You want to have your mind fresh and open and be willing to go, oh, maybe I could do this different. Oh, maybe there's a different way. Maybe there's a different perception around this. Am I open to hear it, or am I just closed off, or am I open? You think of that door. It's just like you close it, that's it, or you open it to go, okay, bring in new mind stuff for me, new
Right.
ideas, new thoughts, new ways that perhaps that you could believe something different. And that's because you wanna feel good or you feel bad. There's a lot of words under those 2 things, the feel good or the feel bad categories. However, your mind has a lot to do with that, and there is in that blog about how, again, the mind and the brain and how that all works together, so I suggest you go read that. A lot of people, again, do think that the brain and mind are one thing, and we are all connected and everything is interconnected, but they do have different roles to play.
Yes.
So let's move on to other things around mind. Categories of mind, types of mind, pillars of the mind, dimensions of the mind, stages of the mind, levels of the mind.
It's a
Yeah,
lot of
and
mind.
a lot of mind. And then the types of the mind, and it says that, just may vary depending on the model, but the the common categories are the conscious mind, preconscious, unconscious, subconscious, and superconscious. And I'm sure there's more. So again, the more you research something, the more points of view and the more that people have defined it in different ways based on their experience.
Right.
How could you ever really know the mind?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to fully.
Yeah. I know there's a discipline line, a mind, a creative mind, like there's all of these different things that can be put in the front of that word. How do you feel about mind in general? Like, how do you feel about your mind?
That's a pretty interesting question. I would say that it's very multi-layered, just like any other part of me. Just kind of like what you said, that there's like the subconscious and the super conscious and the conscious, and that all those are parts potentially of my mind and how they work and things that I can't even fully explore. It's kind of like any other part of your body or your day-to-day life. It's that you kind of know it on a surface level and it works, and it's there for you and you're relying on it, but there's so many other things that you don't know about how it works or how you could make it better or worse, or just parts that we don't even have knowledge about. So I think that it's very interesting to do a deep dive into this to kind of see how does your mind work, and are there things that we notice more often than not about our mind, like maybe even just dreams as an example of when we're in a subconscious state of mind when we're sleeping, that our dreams are so completely different because of what our mind makes up in them and what they take out of it to interpret. And so our minds are completely different from one another. And that's pretty interesting.
Well, and that's what I love about the uniqueness of everybody is because everyone's mind is so brilliant in its own way, because it's, like you said, the great word multifaceted. We don't all have to think alike, and that's okay. And we don't all have to have the same mind. And that's what makes the world interesting as well.
I agree.
When you're thinking about your conscious, which you thought conscious mind, it's more of your immediate awareness, it's in front of you.
Right.
And then your preconscious holds retrievable information. And then the unconscious is more deep seated feelings or things that we call memories. I mean, that's just the basis of my research, and that's sort of summing it up a little bit more of all of it. Your mind, if you again do more information based on wanting to know more about your mind, there definitely will be a lot that you'll get into. And I've always loved psychology, the
Yes.
psychology of the mind too. But for the sake of this is we want to have your mind feel like it is balanced, aligned, rejuvenated, healthy, things that really make you feel good. Your thoughts, how you feel. Like that's why we did one of the focus on mantras as our blog, because one of them, for instance, is mind's focus creates reality. That reality changes all the time because if you focus on something, if your mind is focusing on something, that's your point of view, that's your point of attraction. Law of attraction will bring something more to you around that, like attracts like. then that is your reality. But then as soon as you shift it or change it, then you have a new reality. So when someone says, "Oh, this is my reality and that's it," it's like, no, your reality literally can change.
In a moment, yeah.
Yeah, in seconds, really, just with a change of perception.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do you want to say overall about dynamics of the mind? Because dynamics are very multifaceted. And for those that don't know the clarity of what dynamics is the way in which people or things behave and react to each other in a particular situation. Being dynamic is also about being open to new ideas, able to adapt to different situations and communicate well with others. They're always becoming, full of energy, constantly changing and making progress, positive an attitude of a person. So when you think of that and then you associate that with the dynamics of the mind, what do you want to leave our audience with around your perspective of that?
Well, I think that the word dynamics is a really interesting one. Like you said, there's a lot of different definitions for it. And I think about all the different dynamics that we have in the dynamic series and how they're all unique and different and fluid and ever changing and growing, and how that relates a lot to the mind, and that the mind is always ever throwing, always changing, always growing. And just like how we expand on mind dynamics and how we've expanded on other themes in the past, will continue to do so, and so will our minds as we grow up and learn new information.
Yeah. And it's always expanding, right?
Yes,
Like
always
it's always,
dynamically moving in the right direction that it needs to be.
yeah. Well, whatever serves person at the right time, right? As we all know, there is no meaning to anything unless we give it meaning. Because you could think, oh, that car is beautiful. And I could say, I don't think it's beautiful.
Right.
So, you have the meaning of, oh, you like something like so that could happen to any subject as well.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you for that. That's a really great overall mind dynamic thought
Good mindset on it.
and good mindset. Yes, good mindfulness there.
Yes.
Because you with mindfulness too, you can think of, it being taught in school, which you have with the kids is more places having mindful time with their kids, whether that is just teaching them about breathing or about sitting in a room quiet, about meditation, about being out in nature, about just being one with your mind and making friends with your mind. So
Yes.
that's a big thing is don't hate the mind, just realize that the mind is a mind and it's yours
Yes,
to play with. So
exactly it.
you'd want to feel better than you do not feel good, right? So
Exactly. I
yes. Anything else you want to share, or do you think that sums up everything for us?
think that sums up everything.
Okay, so what resonated with you most in today's episode? Take a moment to reflect, and what's your next step? We challenge you to take action, share this episode with someone who needs it, or explore our past recordings to keep the conversation alive. Your dynamic journey does not stop here. There's so much more waiting for you. Visit dynamicshow.info or dynamicseries.com multimedia podcast to dive into our content and spark your interest and inspire your growth. Quick reminder that all materials shared on this show are copyrighted and meant for informational purposes only. So until next time, thank you for tuning into the Dynamics Show. Makota, thank you so much for being our guest again.
And thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, and sharing all of your words of wisdom.
I try.
And congratulations again on your master's.
Thank you.
That's a lot of mind work right there,
Yes.
isn't it?
A lot of mind. Good mindset.
So, as we always say, make it a dynamic day.
Make it a dynamic day.
Thank you.
Thank you.